Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 29th, and right now we're looking at the visible satellite imagery here. You can see the Gulf of Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Here goes our atmospheric river slamming into western BC right now. This is going to sag south across Washington and Oregon over the next couple days, bringing some pretty good precipitation amounts, especially to higher terrain areas. We'll take a look at those details. Check out the cold air across the Gulf of Alaska behind this system. Going to drop the snow levels across the area as well, and we may even bring some snow to the higher elevations of the lowlands as well. We'll take a look at those details coming up. In the extended, we're going to have another strong front move through the area on Friday morning with some more cold air behind that into the Pacific Northwest. We'll take a look at that as well. Seattle, a couple days right around average temperatures, 57 degrees. 56 is the average high. Trying to add up this precipitation total to get back to normal. Not going to quite make it here before the end of October, but at least we made some ground towards that normal precipitation value. Excessive rainfall outlook. This is for Sunday morning towards Monday morning. You can see that exists for central North Cascades. This would include a BC as well, Olympic Mountains included. And look here, they're talking about 5 to 7 inches of rain for the Olympic Mountains there, 3 to 4 inches downstream into northern Washington Cascades. Snow levels fairly high, between 5 and 7,000 feet. So hopefully we're not going to have any runoff concerns with the burn scar areas, but it must be watched for sure. This is for Monday morning on in through Tuesday morning here across the southern Washington Cascades. That marginal threat does exist there. Now looking at the European on the left, GFS on the right, ensemble members. There are 30 in the GFS average tier, 50 in the European average tier on the left. There goes our first system, atmospheric river. Cold air sags across the region. Good model agreement there, as you can see. Then we build a transient ridge across the region, but then we quickly bring another strong front into the region here. European a little bit quicker and stronger with that frontal system here, but the GFS does agree and opens up the trough across Pacific Northwest, bringing some pretty chilly air across the region. But we'll check out these details and work them out as we get closer to the trajectory of this cooler air coming off of the coast of BC back into the region. Will determine just how low the snow level will get, just how chilly we'll get here across the region. This is looking at current conditions here on the European, actually right about here. Now you can see that cold upper level low here across the Gulf of Alaska, and you can see the atmospheric river impacting western BC. Drops down through Washington state towards Oregon as we go on in through Monday and Tuesday morning here. Pretty good snowfall amounts coming up here for eastern Oregon on in through Idaho, and for western Montana, maybe even Klamath Falls. We'll get a little bit of snow out of the system as well. Cool air moves over the area here through early next week. Strong frontal system races down the BC coastline into Washington, Oregon. Look at some of these pressure gradients across the region. Some of the models are showing it to be pretty windy with this time. Look at this monster low just diving into Canada here, 972, casting a strong gradient across Pacific Northwest here. We'll check out what kind of wind speeds we can expect with that. And we'll have to watch that system closely. Now check out this. Look at this Arctic high kind of build in across BC here. Early season. Pretty cool temperatures across the region here. And again, we might bring that snow level down to the surface even briefly here in some of these heavier showers. And if they are convective in any kind of convergent zone activity here, we could bring that down to the surface. But just briefly, it's not looking like a big event by any means so far. So it will just be something interesting to watch as of right now, but we'll continue to watch it. Now taking a look here, this is the max 10-meter wind gust. This is through tomorrow, actually Monday morning here. And you can see that 43 miles per hour for SeaTac. That could cause some nuisance power outages during the Seahawk game tomorrow, probably low 30s at most, gusting across the region. So not too bad, but that's enough where it can start to mess around with the football game. Now taking a look here as we go through midweek here, you see that frontal system come in on Friday. Look at this, a 49 mile per hour gust for Seattle area there. Will be interesting to watch. Then you see the strong westerlies blast through the Strait of Juan de Fuca here and down the Strait of Georgia and on in through eastern Washington. Look at this. Some of these gusts up over 50 miles per hour possible for the Columbia Basin out towards Spokane. East slopes of the Cascades of Washington. Higher terrain for Oregon as well. Oregon coast just blustery at this time. A little bit windier for the Washington coast as we go through the extended here. Now, taking a look at the European, kind of get that timing of the atmospheric river come down across the area. You can kind of see the rain shadow effect going on across the central Puget Sound. Seahawks game, just kind of concerned about that to see if any rain will fall during it. I know some people were asking about that. Then you can see that atmospheric river kind of bend and shift as it shifts across the area down towards Oregon. Now, look as we go out into Tuesday morning here. You know, some of these snow showers trying to get down towards the Puget Sound region up here. Low snow levels possible, and you can see it again happening at Strait of Georgia here, up towards the northwest interior, especially on through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning here. Will kind of be interesting. Again, it's not going to be a big dramatic event or anything, but it would be nice looking for some of the lowland higher hills to get some snow. But again, this will bring some good snowfalls to the pass areas as well and drop that snow level across the region. Then the next strong frontal system comes ripping through here on the day Friday, and this is kind of where that ends at about 144 hours, but you can see the impacts of the storm start to move across the area then. That's a little bit far out there, 144 hours. We'll continue to monitor that. Now, this is taking a look at 925 millibars, 2,500 feet. You can see this atmospheric river bring this warm air into the Pacific Northwest here through tomorrow morning, and that's what's going to cause some of this rain shadowing effect across the central Puget Sound tomorrow afternoon. And you can see that atmospheric river kind of bounce around, bring some warm air back up north again. Then all of a sudden the cold air says, oh, we've had enough of that. Kicks this cold air all the way across the region here by early and mid this week. Look at some of these temperatures just off the surface. Pretty darn chilly air coming our way, folks. You're going to feel it out there, but it's not going to be stormy the whole time. There's probably going to be some nice periods in there as well, and maybe some, crisp white clouds and sunny afternoons on some of these days coming up. But then we've got another strong frontal system, like I mentioned, coming in Friday. Look at this warm air being introduced at 2,500 feet all the way across into western BC. Then look at the snow levels crash behind that as well as we get another good blast of cold air across the region. And look at some of these temperatures here into BC. This is, some modified Arctic air all the way into south central BC here and spilling some cool air out over the Pacific Northwest through the following week, at least early portions. We'll continue to watch that pretty closely here as we go. Now, I want to get some of the timing of this wind down. As we go through tomorrow afternoon, you see some blustery conditions across the central Puget Sound here about Seahawk game time. You see that front kind of sag south across the Washington coast. And then look at this little wave that kind of rolls in here, this low pressure system on the back side of this atmospheric river, bringing some blustery conditions as we go through Monday morning here across the Puget Sound. And then for eastern Washington as well. And look, some of these winds coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca also. So gusty winds there. Then we take a look at this midweek coming up. Here comes Friday's system. Check this thing out here too. Some pretty powerful winds as we talked about. Gusts over 50 are possible here. Some really powerful gusts coming down the Strait of Juan de Fuca as well as some powerful gusts up through the Seattle area. Maybe some nuisance power outages. We'll watch that system. This is going to change at least a couple times before we get to that event. Now, taking a look here, this is the 10-day precipitation totals. You can see the atmospheric river really bullseyeing western BC, the Olympic Mountains, North Cascades. It does get a lot of Oregon as well. Big rain shadow for portions of eastern Washington before that precip picks back up again across the Rockies. But you can see some of this precipitation getting in towards northern California here. Maybe the northern half getting some precipitation would be much appreciated for them down there. Now, this is looking at one more thing with our atmospheric river. You can see the spread across the region late tonight into tomorrow morning and kind of hang out across Washington, southwest Washington for a while here, a few hours with some moderate rain as we go through Sunday night into Monday morning. And by the time the trick-or-treaters start getting out there, just some scattered showers here across the Puget Sound, southwest BC. The main band of rain should be just trying to move out of the Willamette Valley. It might not make it in time, though, so you might be looking at a wet Halloween down here across Oregon. And it is still a potential across some of the Puget Sound as well, as you see these showers still hanging out as we go into the evening hours on Halloween there, October 31st. This is the little wider view look of things here. After atmospheric river, their cold air comes down there. Then Friday's system, this warm air tries to punch in here. And look at this cold air sag across BC there. So that's what we're watching here on through later this week and next week. And some pretty cold air trying to make its way close to the Pacific Northwest here. It is a little early in the season to be talking lowland snow. It's not impossible. It's just not likely to be a dramatic event, high impact event at this point. Now, take a look here. Whistler, you can see the ebb and flow as the ski area is going to go below freezing for a few days there, then maybe briefly above with that system on Friday, then right back below with the cold air behind that. Similar for Mount Baker there. Stevens Pass been trending a little bit colder with each run here also with some of the air moving into the area. So that bodes well for mountain snows and pass level ski area snows as we go. This is Boise. Check this out. This cooler air blast that comes down through midweek here is going to bring Boise down below freezing, it looks like, for a little bit here. But you can see the warm temperatures with that first system, atmospheric river, kind of bringing some warmer air reaching all the way across the Cascades over towards Idaho and western Montana as well. Then the colder air arrives. A little bit of a warm up there with that Friday, Saturday system. Then the colder air arrives behind that as well. Klamath Falls, similar thing as we go through midweek. Probably some periods of temperatures below freezing here as we come, then a warmer period there, and then that colder air through the extended crashes down across the area. Klamath Falls showing here a little bit of snowfall possible. Ensembles are all showing at least a little bit of snowfall coming up here through early to mid this week, and then kind of a mixed bag off through the extended. A little bit of Fantasyland there. Whidbey Island, some gusty winds coming in with this system now, probably up into the lower 40s. Then a little bit of a breezier time here as we go through Friday. We're going to watch this system here. You can see some ensembles calling up over 50 mile per hour gusts across Whidbey Island here. That's for later next week. This is Seattle-Tacoma. Look at this with this first system through Monday morning here. There's a lot of ensembles showing 40 plus. Could cause some nuisance power outages. Being our first bit of a windstorm here to the SeaTac area. And then you'll see Friday's frontal system here. The deterministic run actually predicted 49 as we saw. And none of the ensembles are really picking up on that strength of wind yet, but it is showing the potential for some wind here. Now looking at total snow. This is Kuchera ratio. This takes into account the amount of precipitation falling, but it also takes into account temperatures below a certain level here. And I'll explain that probably at some point when I do my winter weather video by itself. Now, as we look here, you can see once we get towards later next week, as that system moves through, the really cold air arrives, and you can really see the snow pile up through BC and the Washington, Oregon Cascades, off through the Rockies as well. So some pretty impressive snowfall totals are possible here. We're going to get 2 decent shots of cooler air behind these systems as we go here through the next week or so. Now, no landslide issues as of now. That only applies when we get to the right of this red bar. You can see 6 to 10 day precipitation temperature outlook here. October 29th, the west remains below average here. This goes through early November here. This is the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Above average signal, nothing's changed. And this is through early November here. We're supposed to be below average here across Pacific Northwest again. And precipitation above average again. So check this out. I just highlighted this point on the northwest tip of Vancouver Island, actually calling for a Cat 2 here as we go through the day today. And then look at this next one out here in early November. They're calling potential for a Category 3 atmospheric river up there on the northwest tip of Vancouver Island. Just thought I'd show you guys that. But for the most part, you can see Category 1 and Category 2 all the way down through the Washington coast coming up here for Washington and down in towards Oregon here. So this is beneficial right now, except really for the burn scar areas. If they start getting a lot of precip over any one area that was previously burnt, then you can start to get some runoff problems. But these are beneficial and nothing to be afraid of. There's no devastating floods coming with these atmospheric rivers, at least currently. Now, before we start getting the snow build up, I just wanted to point out to you guys I'm going to be showing this, the Northwest Avalanche Center site. It's really good. It shows avalanche dangers. It's not active just yet, but I just want to show you guys each year you can see these fatalities that occur during every single snow season. I mean, they've got the stories about what happened, where they occurred. It doesn't matter. Mount Baker, Methil Valley, Snoqualmie Pass, Alpental, Mount Hood, Hurricane Ridge. Fatalities occur everywhere, and they occur every single year. So be careful out there, you guys. Look at this. And what is this? 2014, 13 people died, around here just from climbing and snowboarding and skiing off in the back country there. So have a heads up with that and just be aware of it. I mean, probably being a little bit more aware of just how dangerous avalanches are. They don't even have to be that big. They can just bury you with the foot of snow and you get locked in a position and you can't get out. And that's what happens a lot of times during these fatalities. So anyway, before we get going on this, it's just a good reminder for people to be aware of these potential hazards in our backcountry here. But yeah, check out this atmospheric river blasting into our area. It's going to sag slowly south across the region. It's going to get your rain gauges out, change them out, and we're going to bring some cooler air behind that. There's convergent zone potential behind this atmospheric river as we go in through early next week, especially across the Puget Sound as well as southwest BC. There's going to be some convergent zones running around, a little bit of convective shower activity that could tap into some of that colder air and maybe bring the snow level down. And we're going to build up the mountain snow quite nicely here over the next couple of weeks here. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. The channel's growing strong, and We'll watch these systems, especially that Friday frontal system is a little bit intriguing there. It looked like some pretty good winds moving across the area. We'll continue to monitor that as we go. So hope you guys are having a good day, and we'll do this again tomorrow. I'll talk to you guys then.